Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time for Saturday, March 29th. Nope, 30th and May. Again, why do we even bother with the dates? 2020.
Did you just say March?
I said March. That's back when things were good. Dameon Nelson.
Go ahead, do it.
Dameon Nelson here alongside virtually as this world has become one David Octavius Tiberius, the alleged backyard, one-time knockout, straight edge, hardcore Hall of Famer Herro. We are live with you on a Saturday night. It's not Monday anymore, David.
No. Hey, why? Who would not want to spend a Saturday night with us? You know what I mean? Come on, it's perfect.
I'm not into that kind of thing.
Well, hey, you know what? You like, and that's fine. I understand. But Saturday night's going to be all right.
Hey, we're coming off the heels of a big show this past Thursday night right here on Fight TV with Shane Hurricane Helms, our co-host on Thursday night. So yes, indeed, folks, we're bringing you all kinds of programming after a brief interruption for a couple of weeks. We will have prime time on Thursday nights and on Saturday nights, both at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But every single morning, you can start your day with the Pro Wrestling Report broadcast team with PWR Today. Available on podcast form wherever you get your podcast. Just search for PWR Today. And hey, while you're there, let us know what you think of the podcast. Rate us, like us, especially on Apple Podcasts. Do you listen with that gimmick, David?
I listen with every gimmick. I'm all about context and details. I listen to everything.
With a new day comes a bit of a new format for the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time on Saturday nights. Dave and I will be kicking off the show with tonight's top story in just a moment, but then we are going to be joined by the man they call Meathead with a PWR Fantasy Draft update. Oh my God. Do you see how happy I am when I say those words? A PWR Fantasy Draft update, because not only did I whoop y'all's ass last Saturday at Double or Nothing, but I whooped y'all's ass again on Wednesday with a big debut in AEW, which we're going to talk about tonight as well. Meathead's going to have a draft update, and then the entire PWR team will join us, and we'll have our roundtable discussion. In our roundtable today, Dave, we're going to talk about your dear friend Apollo Crews and his recent win at the United States Championship. We're going to talk about Mike Tyson in AEW, also the fans back in WWE, at least virtual. Well, not virtually, but
they're not even fans. Come on, let's be honest here.
But hey, you've always called them kids from NXT.
Yeah,
so.
The NXT kids are there.
And we will also talk about FTR, formerly The Revival, reappearing on the wrestling landscape earlier this week. It was a big week of professional wrestling, a lot going on. We'll talk about that with the Roundtable team. And after that, DHHS, we'll find out what speak David Herro would like to lay upon us. But before we get to all that, including talking about some interesting actions on SmackDown last night, David, how, and it's not that I really care, but how the hell are you? I haven't talked to you in 2 days.
You know what? I'm doing. Listen, the world is upside down, and some parts of it were on fire actually. But overall, it's going well. Cal is done. He is no longer a high school student. Graduation.
He done graduated?
Yeah, it would have been today.
He graduated 12th grade once?
Yeah, just once. That's all it took him. Just one try.
Today is Cal's graduation day. That's fantastic.
Well, he's not having it. He obviously, because of that gimmick thing that's floating around in the air. We're not having a
Vanguard One.
Yes, that's exactly it. I think they're made by the same people. It's just that there's no celebration. There's no ceremony yet. Maybe in August if we're lucky.
Well, obviously, great for Cal. Great for everybody out there. You must be a proud papa.
Oh, absolutely.
Now graduating high school, and now, well, the next steps are going to be the fun ones, Dave.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? Absolutely. He's 18, and the end of June, he'll be a legit legal man now. You know what I mean?
I'm a man. No, he's a man. Hey, Dave, Thursday we had Hurricane Helms on with us, and we spent a lot of time talking about AEW, Double or Nothing, and also Dynamite this past Wednesday on TNT, because it was an action-packed show and a lot of newsworthy items come out of that. Now, we found out since that show on Thursday that the ratings are out. And as I said, ratings don't matter, but they matter on Wednesdays because you are talking about two shows head-to-head. A combined 1.5 million people watching wrestling, but NXT losing The ratings war to AEW by over 100,000 viewers. Both shows up this week over last week. Optimism is strong. Coming off the heels of Double or Nothing, NXT had a very stacked show. And David, their stacked show was headlined and main evented by a matchup between Thatcher and Matt Riddell. And since we found that Thatcher has suffered some injuries in that matchup, don't know if it's storyline or true, but a unique concept presented from NXT this past Wednesday, one that we didn't get a chance to talk about with Hurricane on Thursday, so I guess we'll have to settle for your opinion.
Absolutely. You know what? It was a highly entertaining, different type of cage match. I mean, they had like rafters inside the cage, right? Is that what you call them? You know? Yeah. So they could wrestle on top, in the ring, on the sides. It was all over the place.
It was a fight pit, not to be confused with Fight Club, which you don't talk about.
It was like what Ken Shamrock had. What did he call his matches? You know, back when they had the gimmick where they're surrounded by cars, him and Steve Blackman. I don't know. Whatever match that was on pay-per-view. But
that narrows it down. You know, thanks, pal.
Well, okay, how many matches did Steve Blackman fight Ken Shamrock when they had a ring of cars around them?
At least one, from what I just learned from you.
So that's what I'm talking about. But, you know, I was surprised that Matt Riddle did not go over. I was surprised that, you know, he was put to sleep and tapped out, which tells me I expect I expect big things from Matt. I expect him to be featured more on SmackDown. I think that he's on his way to the main, you know, he's already on the main roster, but now it's just going to be bigger and better for him.
Those reports are out there that it's a foregone assumption or conclusion rather that he's going to be called up and specifically to the SmackDown brand. Now we did talk a little bit about that on a recent edition of PWR Today, the podcast, but I'm not sure it's a call up anymore. I mean, a lot of people who got called up got called back.
Well, right, but they need stars right now on SmackDown, and they really don't have many.
They have The Miz.
Yes, they do. And when you have to put The Miz and John Morrison in a match against Braun Strowman on pay-per-view, that's when you know. I'm not taking anything away from Miz and Morrison.
Yeah, you are. You absolutely are. Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
But that's not a main event match for pay-per-view. It's not.
But it is a main event match for the pay-per-view.
Because they don't have other star power. That's why.
You've said for a long time, it's about the heels. It's all about the heels that are absent in WWE. Now, let me challenge you with this, and I am intrigued to hear your answer. Do you feel the same challenge exists in AEW?
No, there's a lot more
balance.
Heels. The challenge with AEW is they have no mid-card. Their mid-card, to me, is very weak. They have an upper card. They have main event guys, but they don't have anything in between. They have a lot of guys that can kick off the show, but the middle is lacking. And then you have, you know, guys like the Elite and Chris Jericho and Jon Moxley and now a Brian Cage in the main events.
All right, well, we'll talk more about AEW when the rest of the team comes on. But you know what I'm really looking forward to, though? More than anything else in this episode tonight, as we are here live on Fight TV. This will be the first time in the history of the Pro Wrestling Report I've been looking forward to Meathead joining the broadcast here to give us the draft update. You know, he's the moderator.
That makes
he's
one of us, because I've never been excited to have him on the show. So good for you.
Yeah, you know, it's just going to be good to hear how I've gone from negative 20 points to whooping y'all's asses up in here.
You're not. You're not in first place. It doesn't matter.
Fact check me. This is not social media.
Hey.
And the facts say I'm winning. I didn't say I had the most points, but I'm winning. You know, it's a landslide. I had the greatest draft week in the history of the PWR fantasy draft.
You did, didn't you?
It was big. It was huge. People have never seen it that big before.
I've heard someone else talk like that once before also. You're kind of freaking me out a little bit here. Huge. Yeah.
So also on NXT, though, David Herro, someone very near and dear to your heart, a friend of ours, a friend of the program, a man who had been released from WWE, but, well, is still appearing regularly on their programming. I'm not sure that's ever happened before, by the way.
No.
But Drake Maverick advances further in this very wild tournament.
Yeah, he makes to the finals. He's going to be in the triple threat match in the finals. And you know what?
With Kachida and Jake Atlas.
Yeah, great for Drake Maverick. big victory out of nowhere. And what's really cool about it is, once again, Drake Maverick is so good, he gets himself over when he's basically written off. You know, it's like when they brought him out with, I don't want to say APA. What was that monster tag team he had?
Yeah, them.
The Authors of Pain, the AOP. You know, he got that over. And they made him, you know, the commissioner of 205 Live. He got that over.
Yeah, he did.
He gets himself into the 24/7 title hunt, and he gets that over. Everything he's touched has been fantastic, and now he's released a few weeks ago. Everyone figured he'd be one and done in the tournament, gone right away, but now he's in the finals, and congratulations. I'm with Spud. I'm always with Spud. I know you're with Spud. Great job for Drake Maverick.
He's got the Midas touch, does Spud, huh?
You know what it is? It's because he's a genuine good human being that loves to entertain, and he loves the sport of professional wrestling.
So let me ask you this, David Herro, and I agree with that wholeheartedly, and I want to make sure we preface this with, hey, we are friends, you more so than me, but we are friends with a lot of people in this business. Hell, we do a weekly show with Hurricane Helms right here on this broadcast, and everybody knows who he's friends with. So even with that, we are not going to let that skew opinions, but something needs to be said about Drake and the opportunity that may exist for him, because how do you keep a guy like that gone if he's performing so well now? And has there been a better definition in recent history of a company man that's not working for the company than Drake Maverick?
No, I mean, you know what it does? It's just, it builds up his value so much that even if they don't bring him back, if they don't re-sign him, no matter where he goes, he's been featured for the last 4 or 5 weeks on NXT during the Wednesday Night Wars. So his value has never been higher than it is right now. The fans are behind him. They're emotionally invested, not because he's funny or because he's a heel or because he
funny
has
how?
a hot
Like
wife.
funny haha or funny?
No,
what do you, funny how? What do you mean? Funny?
No, exactly, because of that. You know, he's not a character. He's fighting for his job, for his livelihood, and a lot of people can relate to that.
He has to fight for his right to wrestle?
Exactly, yes.
Well, a good episode of NXT. Not more happened. We're not going to get into the heebie-jeebies, the nitty-gritty of it, if you will. But what'd you think of NXT's presentation overall this week, David Herro?
You know what? I thought both shows were great. I thought both shows had star power. But there's just something about AEW that makes you want to watch that show first.
Yep.
I don't know if it's not like their production is any better, but there's a sense of urgency. And I think it's because when you have guys now like a Matt Hardy, and you have guys like Cody Rhodes, and you have guys like Chris Jericho that you're really familiar with, and you've been invested with them over time, over the years, you want to tune in to see them, as opposed to some of the guys on the NXT brand, because they're younger and they're newer and you don't quite have that connection with them yet.
Hey, let's be fair, and let's go back to 2 nights before NXT every week. I just gave 3 hours to WWE. You had me, and you lost me in that 3-hour tour that's, as we talked about with Hurricane Helms on this program, many weeks, the Titanic, that was as long. Hey, you know what? I just learned something recently. This is fascinating. A bit of a life update. Can we shoot? Is that what they call it in the business?
Yeah, by all means, go ahead. Shoot away.
Is it okay to say that right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I wasn't going there with it. I mean, you're crazy to bring it up, but go ahead.
Does Seth Rollins have any heat?
No, he's from Iowa. He's from Iowa.
So here's the thing. So I live in New Jersey now, right outside of Trenton, New Jersey. Great part of the country. I'm loving it. Just much like the suburbs of Chicago, where I've lived for, before I went to China and since I've been back for the last few months. But you've heard of this Hindenburg, right? We talk about the Titanic. You've heard about the Hindenburg.
Yes, of course.
Where did that crash?
When or where?
Where? Well, we know when. It was back in the 20s, 30s, whatever.
Wasn't it over on the East Coast somewhere it crashed?
So this is fascinating to me. So I'm talking to someone. There's a military base out here, a pretty big one actually. And so I was talking to somebody, and they're like, yeah, blah, 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 the Hindenburg crashed down the road. I'm like, excuse me? I deduced that it crashed in Germany.
Oh, because it's called the Hindenburg. That's why.
Is that not a fair assumption?
Well, I mean, I guess.
No, the Hindenburg crashed literally down the road.
Some people would think that the coronavirus is from Mexico, if you're going to go with that theory and logic.
I can't make the connection. How'd you get there?
Corona. You know, it's the national beverage of Mexico. That's how.
Corona is not the national beverage of Mexico. If so, that would be the case, then that Miller Lite is the national beverage of our hometown, Milwaukee.
It's not?
Folks, so much more to get to here on Primetime. We're live on a Saturday night. If you're watching us on our socials, be sure to subscribe to the show on YouTube. Also, turn on those notifications so you always get notifications for our episodes. In fact, last week, David Herro, you and I, along with Hurricane Helms, did a bonus episode last Friday night. On top of our Thursday night edition of Primetime. We did a bonus episode on Friday night talking all about AEW Double or Nothing. If you don't subscribe, if you don't get to have those notifications turned on,
wait.
Those bonus episodes.
Pump the brakes. It wasn't just about Double or Nothing. Dude, it was a Be the Booker with Hurricane Helms.
Be the who?
And myself. Be the Booker.
What is that? I don't
Back. It's the greatest show we've ever invented. Where I get to call the shots.
Thing we used to do.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
yes. I was confused because there was no board.
Shane Helms and I, we'd sharpen each other's pencil and we just go and we write out how we would do the show. It's great stuff. It's fantastic. And here's the beautiful thing. You need to subscribe.
Yes, I was on that show.
Because Shane Helms wants to talk wrestling with us. And you never know when we're just going to pop up another show.
Yeah, there could be one tonight.
Yeah, there could be. And so there's always going to be hot news and definitely hot takes with the Hurricane.
Subscribe and get to turn those notifications on here on YouTube. If you're watching us on Facebook, like the page on Facebook. Hundreds of people do every day, and you can join in as well. You get our podcast content on YouTube and on Facebook as well. Twitter, at PWR360 on Twitter. Dave, we're also on Twitter individually ourselves, at Dameon Nelson, I'm spelled the right way, Dameon, and at David Herro, spelled the wrong way, with 2 R's.
2 R's. Why? Because I'm original.
There's only 1 R in original.
Right, but I'm like the legit hero. Like I have 2 R's.
You know, sometimes there are 2 R's in dirty.
Yeah, Christina Aguilera's dirty had 3 of them.
Well, sometimes 2. There's like a rating scale you can use. Like if someone says that's dirty, you say, how dirty is it? How many R's?
Yeah.
Speaking of R's, hard R and dirty or soft R?
I think there's 1 of each.
Dirty! It's a soft. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it depends on how many you use.
Exactly.
You just blew my mind. Well, folks, we are here with Primetime. We are live on Fight TV, F-I-T-E, Fight. The show continues. We're only at the starting point. Joining us in just a few moments will be the rest of the PWR team for our Roundtable segment. We're going to talk about Mike Tyson in AEW. We're also going to talk about his situation that developed with Chris Jericho on Dynamite this past week. FTR, the revival. FTR debuts in AEW this Wednesday night to the surprise of many, and WWE has fans now back in their audience, which could also be called a hockey rink. We'll talk about all that with the rest of the team. We'll have DWHS later on. And now it is time to find out just who is number 1
this guy
in the 2020 Pro Wrestling Report Fantasy Wrestling Draft. Meathead, please tell the world how great this guy is.
Hello and welcome to the PWR Draft Update for 2020. I'm the man they call Meathead, and it's kind of hard to do these updates when you are also the lead dog as well. After this last weekend's AEW Double or Nothing, Dameon Nelson scored 380 points, which brings him to 360 because he started at negative. However, big points scored by Dameon Nelson. He's now in the conversation, still in last place, but in the conversation, still leading, of course, as your boy, the man they call Meathead, at 470. We also have, now closing in, Andrew Baydala with 300 points from last Saturday at 390. Linda Kay at 385. David Herro at 380. And like I said, Dameon Nelson now at 360. He didn't show up during the whole first pay-per-view Money in the Bank, but Dameon Nelson now in the game. He got a lot of great points. We gave him a hard time about not having talents that could wrestle for heavyweight championships or talents that weren't even in any of the two companies we're using. However, FTR is now on AEW, and they are all elite. So, Dameon Nelson's got a full roster. Speaking of a full roster, he took penalty points for Becky Lynch, has now replaced him with Otis, and coming up at the next pay-per-view, NXT In Your House, we will be scoring more points as well. So, stick with us here at PWR360.com for the PWR Draft Update 2020. I'm the man they call Meathead. So long, everyone.
Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time here on a Saturday night. We are on Fight TV all over the world, and thank you, Meathead, for sharing with the world how my draft roster, the Nelson family, is whooping everybody else's ass in the PWR Fantasy Draft. Gentlemen, lady, welcome to the program. It's the Roundtable segment, but I just have to gloat for just a minute because I went from minus 20 points just 1 week ago tonight to being in the lead position of the 2020 PWR Fantasy Draft. Jason, Josh, I know you guys elected not to participate because you knew that I would just dominate, and I appreciate that. You may as well just don't get in where you don't fit in. But
I thought I was in.
But Meathead told us, Linda, Andrew, Dave, that I was winning and beating y'all. So let me properly introduce everybody as I welcome us back. I am the winning Dameon Nelson of the Pro Wrestling Report Fantasy Draft, joined here by the entirety of the PWR team. David Octavius Tiberius, the alleged, we did that earlier, backyard hero, Hall of Famer, whatever. You're less important than the rest of the people joining us. Please welcome folks one more time back for the first time in a few weeks. Jason Solomon, how are things in Brooklyn?
Getting warmer. Summer's almost here. It's getting hot here in New York.
Is there a Nelly performance you're going to be attending?
No. I'm just very excited that we're finally getting into the nicer weather, and not that there's much to do, but I could walk around the neighborhood and then walk back. That'll be the extent of my excitement. So it'll be a great summer.
Welcome back, Jason, and Joshua Chernoff. Welcome back as well. We see more of Jason in the way of hair this week. We see less of you in the way of hair. What is going on? Did you guys do some kind of swap?
Yeah, I shaved it off and put it in the mail and sent it to Jason. He glued it on. So
they're letting you mail crazy glue.
Yeah. No, I could not stand it anymore. I could not stand the amount of hair.
We couldn't either.
Yes.
It was way too much.
People were just losing their minds. And then when I tried to slick it, I was going through bottles of hair product. So I said, you know what?
The kid show. Careful.
Were you using Trace May?
I beg your pardon.
You know what? As long as he's not using self-tanner, he's going to be fine.
Oh, good God. All right. And that was on the other day. Something About Mary. It's a good movie.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to touch that with a 10-foot
pole.
Nope. But great to be here.
How was dinner, Josh?
Haven't eaten it yet, but I waited a good 35 minutes to an hour to get it.
She gonna be cold, Josh. She gonna be cold.
Well, it doesn't matter. My wife's gonna eat hers, and then I'll heat up my dinner later, just eat it cold. I don't care. The sacrifices I make for this team.
Clearly, the world is defeating you. But let's move on. Andrew Baydala from up in Minneapolis, Minnesota. How the hell are things up there?
Oh, we've seen better days. I can tell you that much. And
bottom dropped out.
It's a unfortunate time here, and I just hope everyone stays safe. And I hope we could all move past this. And my thoughts and prayers are with everyone who's been affected, and for the family of those who have lost their lives.
And also joining us is one Linda K. Linda, welcome to the Roundtable. Welcome to the main roster, if you will, here on PWR Prime Time. You've been here before, but every time you've been here in this spot, David Herro has found a way to get rid of you. We'll make sure that
David.
We'll make sure that does not happen this time because he ain't got no stroke, no power.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you, Dameon. Thank you so much for having me on tonight.
It's always a pleasure to have you, Linda.
You know, long as Linda's not investigating stuff like the whole Las Vegas trip and other nonsense, like everything's going to be fine.
Meaning if you don't take my credit card and go spend $27,000 at a strip club.
Wow.
It wasn't a strip club. Whoa. It was a business meeting with the Godfather at the Cheetah Club.
David, $27,000. I would have ceased communications.
On the Amex, it was due that month. We didn't have a year to pay it off.
But to be fair, I thought the exchange rate was going to be different.
Oh, you exchanged all right, but that was my money for your nookie.
No way. I would have cut him off entirely. That would have been it for me.
He did.
Oh.
Let's get to the wrestling, folks. And earlier, Dave, we talked about NXT. We talked about all the activity from this past week, but a lot more happening in professional wrestling. Now, Thursday night on Primetime, we talked with Shane Helms, Hurricane Helms, our guest on Thursday's edition of Primetime. We talked a lot about AEW. We talked a lot about some big things that happened on AEW, but I want to hear from us in the round here tonight, and I want to hear your thoughts on two huge stories that came out of AEW Dynamite this week on the heels of Double or Nothing last Saturday on pay-per-view. The first of which, the former team known as The Revival, the team formerly known as The Revival, making their unannounced debut and appearance in AEW, and they are now known as FTR, which is apparently sort of like the old rap group NWA. I think it means the same thing.
So similar.
Jason Solomon, FTR, The Revival, they have arrived in AEW. Can't say anyone's surprised by it, but what did you take from it on Wednesday night on Dynamite?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it was the worst kept secret in wrestling that they would be on their way in. This is the program that they have wanted now for at least a couple of years. You know, they and the Young Bucks a couple of years ago were tweeting about one day we're going to meet, the wrestling world is going to rejoice, and now we're going to get to see it. I thought the way it was done, it was well done. I like the fact that they didn't jump right into it, having them attack the Young Bucks. They kind of tease like, well, you know, we can get you anytime we want to, but we're not going to jump you just yet. I get the sense that they want to take their time building it up. And when they finally meet, it's you know, they're going to have their chance to light the tag team world on fire. I mean, this is what they've wanted for a long time. Already a very strong tag team division in AEW. I think it's one of their strongest points. Now you're adding another team to it. And I think that, you know, the shackles are off. They're going to have the chance to go out there. And, you know, these are two guys who love tag team wrestling. If you listen to them speak, they live and die by tag team wrestling. I think it's a good pickup for AEW. I think it's going to be a good program, good match, but I would take my time. I would not rush into it, maybe all out, you know, wait until the end of the summer. But I think it's a positive.
Yeah, I love the fact that they came in and didn't go right after the Young Bucks. They actually they start off with the Butcher and the Baker. So it's like, for me, the way I look at it is the
Blade,
Butcher and the Blade. That's it. Sorry. Yeah. And,
they didn't have a sandwich.
So, but it's just like, if you rush FTR straight to Young Bucks, then they're doing the same thing that they have been doing. They bring somebody in and send them right to the top, like they did with John Moxley, like what they're going to do now with Brian Cage. Now, if it's FTR against the Young Bucks, let that build. Let the fans really want it. Let them bump into each other back and forth, and then make it a bigger event and have that at All Out if they wanted to. I wouldn't hotshot it any earlier. Let it slowly build so you can have some people in the audience to truly get the proper reaction.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for FTR. I'm excited for their AEW presence. I'm excited that we're going to get maybe the Lucha Bros match that I've been wanting for a year now, 2 years. And I agree with everybody else on this panel. I hope they don't rush into the Young Bucks. They shouldn't. I thought the debut was very Scott Hall-esque. They showed up in a little bit, and I think it was, you know, a tribute to what the NWO did for WCW. Dameon, I know you drafted these guys, but I'll also tell you, and we all made fun of you, so congrats on that. But championships aren't won in May, my man, so we'll see how that works.
You all laughed at me. You said, oh, you picked the Revival. They're not even signed anywhere. Give it a month. I got this, bro.
But the championships aren't won in May, but I think it's a very solid pickup. I think they're destined for AEW championship gold, tag team championship gold, and they're lifelong wrestling fans, so this is something I'm looking forward to. I'm happy they're there.
You mentioned the Scott Hall similarities of them wearing denim. Not, but I think this was the same day. I don't remember how many years. What was this? I guess 20-something.
Maybe?
27. God, that's rough to
24
hear.
years ago.
Yeah, 24.
There you go.
Okay, that's still not great. 24 years to the day of Scott Hall showing up on
Andrew
Nitro.
wasn't even born yet.
No.
I mean, I'll take that. I definitely was, but I'll take it.
But no, I think that it's they definitely were paying homage to that. Look, I think at this point, everybody's mentioned is we have been looking forward to them having this opportunity to take off in AEW and face all these teams. A lot of people are waiting, myself included, to see just how good they really are. I think they're going to deliver without question, but a lot of fans are going to sit back and say, okay, there's been a whole lot of talk about how WWE held them back from being as good as they could be. Well, now, as you said, the shackles are off. Let's rock and roll. Let's see what they can do. But at the same time, I do love the fact that they're holding off on the Young Bucks versus FTR. I think there's a lot of potential. I think one thing that AEW does really, really well is take their time with stories.
What?
I think they do.
What have they done that?
How about MJF?
I got
Cody.
Okay.
Yeah, Cody. Cody never.
Cody was slow. Cody was a slow tell.
Okay,
What?
let's talk Brody Lee and John Moxley. That was 3
Now-
weeks.
Hold on.
Well-
It depends on how you look at it. The debut of Brody Lee, as far as him being the exalted one, that dragged out for a very
They had to
long
wait
time.
for him to get available. He had to get
That's
released
true, but it
first.
dragged out. And
Well, I mean, with to Josh's point, Moxley needs fresh opponents. I mean, they brought in Brian Cage. He's going straight to the main event. They brought in
Yeah,
Brody Lee.
and they're rushing it all again. They need.
Well, are they
what,
rushing?
What? Yes, what AEW needs to do is they need to build their own stars up first instead of hoping to see who's going to be, coming in off of Impact or Ring of Honor or New Japan or WWE.
And that's the question.
yeah.
This Cody Open Challenge for the championship, I hope they don't bring somebody new in every week to lose and not take the championship
I don't think
just
it'll
to
be
be
every
the
week, but I think it's coming. I think like Zack Ryder will probably be one of those guys. I think you make a valid point there. I think that's probably where you're going to see some people show up.
listen to
And also
everything you said.
the reason that I think that they do take their time with it, I understand exactly what you're saying, but I see the Brody Lee thing as more of a going old school to how they used to feed people to Hogan. They build somebody up, build them up, then they have the blow off of the pay-per-view, then Hogan
Dave's
moves on
gonna
to the
kill-
next guy.
But hold on,
This comparison and it kills you.
if you want to, because what they did with Hogan is they brought the monster in, had him beat the lower mid-card guys, got him over strong. So then you thought, oh my God, how can Hogan even beat this guy? He's beating everybody. You bring Brody Lee in, and Brody Lee's awesome, great talent. But at the end of the day, he came in after being on the shelf forever. He never truly got over as part of the Wyatt clan. He was a lower mid-card guy at best. You bring him in, and now all of a sudden he's fighting for the AEW World Championship.
He
This
lost.
is the exact same.
He lost.
This
We
is the
talked about this
exact-
with Hurricane on Thursday. He lost.
Yep.
He did.
So what do you think?
But here's the thing. So, but what does that tell everyone that's been in AEW for the last year and a half that doesn't get that opportunity yet?
So that I agree with you. I agree with the fact that they're kind of cherry picking on whether or not they want to follow the rules on the ranking system. And that's a little weird. I also think though that Brody Lee is probably not the best example of it because that felt really quick, but I also wonder how much of that had to do with the state of the world and the fact that they needed to do something for this pay-per-view. So I don't know. I do think
They
though
had
that they do a
Tyson,
good job.
Josh. They had Tyson. What more than they
No,
need to do for
But
this
I do
pay-per-view?
think that they do a good job. It's not always about setting up the matches. I'm talking about the long overarching stories. I think that they're doing a good job with that.
I think the money's in a Jericho rematch, and I think they're holding off on that. I really do.
Like,
Jericho
they would have been
Moxley?
better off. They would have
Yeah.
been better off having Sammy Guevara against against John Moxley at that
Amen.
pay-per-view.
Amen.
I appreciate the endorsement of a member of the Nelson family there. Thank you very much, David Herro.
Yeah, just kind of finishing up regarding FTR. This was a case of where action spoke louder than words. They really didn't even have to say anything to the Young Bucks to kind of get things going. And to kind of spin off what you were saying, Josh, this is a chance, as we all just said, to get a nice slow build to see what can happen between these two awesome tag teams. It's what the fans have wanted. It's what the talents have wanted, meaning both tag teams. So we shall see. I hope it's a slow build because we just discussed especially with my draft pick Brody Lee, how that went a bit too fast, and now
That
he doesn't win
matters.
the title. Yes. But I agree with everybody. I hope this would be a slow build with FTR. I mean, they already have their shirts out. F the world.
Do you think they're going to have, what's their finisher going to be? Are they going to call it like the New Deal?
Do they? I thought they actually have the rights to the Shatter Machine.
Well, their name is FDR, so I thought maybe they would like reintroduce the New Deal.
I see what you're doing there, and it's wonderful.
Hinting.
Hey, here's something. Here's something that kind of bothered me. The Matt Hardy change of his like attire on Dynamite, where they were like, oh, we want a different Matt Hardy. Comes out, the Bucks said that, in the backstage, and he comes out as like Team Extreme. They're like, no, we're thinking we'll go back even further. They were trying to reference him going back even further to like old school Hardy Boys when they first did their
High voltage Matt Hardy.
Exactly, yeah. But instead, his version of that was the attire that he wore, I want to say around like WrestleMania 4 or something, like 25, right? WrestleMania 25. Like literally it was that same gear. He did not go back and wear
Matt Hardy.
What?
You're fact-checking Matt Hardy. Maybe you did that back in the day and just get it redone.
Wait, what?
Playing the Reagan tonight is Josh Chernoff. Let's just keep this show presidential. Why not? We talked about FDR, we talked about Reagan, and we probably shouldn't talk about it anymore.
It
Jason,
was FDR, not FDR.
Isn't that their name? FDR?
Wow.
FTR.
Oh, the other Roosevelt.
We just blew his mind.
Franklin Theodore Roosevelt.
Not too much.
What was his name? All right, folks. Look, next thing we want to talk about, good discussion, but WWE this past Monday night. Let's get your quick takes on this. WWE this past Monday night and on NXT on Wednesday and last night on SmackDown introduced the hockey-style presentation of professional wrestling with Michael Cole's old bin, or his old pen rather, from ringside, expanded into now a Corona-free or COVID-free zone, at least the attempt to do so on their programming. Corporate responsibility, the right thing to do, the wrong thing to do. What are your thoughts, Jason Solomon?
Well, I mean, I have two kind of mindsets on this. On the one hand, I'm glad they finally did something because they had to act to add some kind of life to their shows. AEW was way ahead of the curve as compared to them. So I like the fact they at least have people who are making noise, even though they kind of look like, hostages. But it was also kind of strange, I must say. Two things. It was very strange that they made them stand, which apparently, I don't know if that was a directive for a particular reason, but they had to stand the whole time, which was strange. The plexiglass, I personally am not a fan of the plexiglass. I guess the idea is it provides a layer of protection between the talent and the so-called fans. But the thing is, they're not fans, right? I mean, everyone there is being tested. And so I just think to put the plexiglass up now, it's almost like them just putting their own little spin on things. I think it's unnecessary. It's a little distracting with the reflection off of it and everything. But I like the fact they finally got people in the audience because it's long overdue. And I think it'll improve the shows a little bit just having some of that noise factor. But I can't say I'm a big fan of the plexiglass being added.
I said on Thursday's edition of Primetime with Hurricane Helms that the plexiglass made it look like we were in a hall of mirrors with all those freaking lasers and lights and all this bouncing off. And I'm like, I'm going to have an aneurysm. I can't watch this. It was a bit much.
I think, not to jump in line here, but I think that
Please tell me.
I think that the plexiglass, I think they're trying it out. They can't, I think this was kind of their way of just saying, okay, A, how does it look on TV? B, what's the reaction? And then also, how can you not have plexiglass? And then the first time you have fans, now you're introducing it. That's almost like, saying like, oh, well, now that you people are in here, we're going to put you in, we're going to protect our stars away from the lesser folks,
Andrew, you're the ticket guy. What are you hearing? What's going on? Events are getting booked again for later in the year. Is this part of that plan?
Yeah, I think it is. I think the plexiglass is not part of the plan, maybe for concerts. So, you might see that where front row tickets for concerts might have a little bit of a plexiglass so that fans don't have to wear masks, or fans don't have the ability to touch a performer. I don't know if this is going to last with WWE, and if it does, I think they're definitely testing it out. I think what's the obstacles they're going to have to face is people are not going to buy those front row tickets. They're just not, and not at those prices that they're asking for. I have seen the layouts for what other venues are going to try, and it's without plexiglass, and they have the barricades that the WWE has used, which you see in between each rows that are 6 feet apart. But I think if they really want to bring fans back, I think they should.
At what point is this ridiculous?
It is. It's absolutely. I mean, it
At
is
that
ridiculous.
exact point.
But you got to remember, the WWE is $1 billion company, and they don't want any lawsuit.
You're exactly right. They're a target. You're right.
So everybody's going to be joined together in the hallways, ushering through to get into the building, all coming together and then being separated.
Well, that's another podcast for another day. But the cliff notes of that would be, I could tell you that there's going to be separate entrances for separate sections, et cetera, et cetera. We are in, I know it's been beat over people's head. We're in uncharted waters, and you're going to see a lot of changes when you attend a live event. Trust me. The notes that I've received are insane.
Have you heard that this is going to be kind of like the new normal, or just like, hey, this is going to be initially and then we'll phase back out of it?
Everything I've been told is we're not seeing fans in any sort of sporting, and I want to say that again, sporting events until September the earliest. So the NHL.
Golf is okay?
Say that again?
Golf is okay?
Yeah.
What about luge?
I say that because I think that wrestling might have fans eventually, but I think sports is going to be fanless for the rest of the year, besides maybe the NFL, if they can get some sort of clarity or the numbers go down. But you got to remember, the NFL plays into the fall and into the winter, which is a high flu season. So
I think if they just if the ratings kind of keep going in the direction that they're going, I think wrestling might be fanless as well.
Maybe.
Well, I'm just frustrated because you all talking about glares and shines, and we got Nelson, Chernoff, and Drew.
What is this, Charlie Brown? What happened to you, Dave?
Dave didn't get his AOL disc in the mail.
His firmware needs to be updated.
He's always working on his firmware. Believe me, Jason. We know you're the oldest one here, but. Really, Charlie Brown? What's going on, Dave? What happened to you? You got marbles in your mouth?
Who does Charlie Brown?
He's still running AOL 9.0. He needs.
Well, you know what? Okay, that's great. We're running out of time here. Good discussion. That I think to give my final thought, anyways, on that. It's going to evolve. As you know, and as you've seen, Drew, in different markets, there are different rules, different laws, different things people do. And when I say at what point is too much, I don't think that's now. I agree with you, Josh. I don't think, Josh said it is now, but I don't think too much is too much because we're planning for the future. And in order for these places to get going and get up and running again, they got to do these things. And it's the right thing to do. It's a responsible thing to do, especially as a corporate entity that WWE is. But Meathead made the point to me actually on the PWR Today podcast we did earlier in the week that JR took a shot at this, or you could interpret it as a shot at this during AEW, saying, look, there's no plexiglass out there. It's almost like the people who are refusing to wear masks because they're showing their association with certain people, and those who do wear masks because it's the right thing to do. It's almost like AEW is the non-mask wearing group and WWE is wearing the mask. And to me, that analogy makes it make a little more sense.
Yeah, but I think they're actually flipped, and I think WWE is just wanting to be perceived as the people who are wearing the masks, whereas, in fact, I think AEW has actually taken much greater precautions than...
Perception is indeed reality. Last topic here on the Roundtable on PWR Primetime Saturday night. Mike Tyson, Iron Mike Tyson, appeared at Double or Nothing last Sunday night for AEW. He presented Cody with the unfinished TNT Championship as Cody won. Became the first winner of that championship. Nothing eventful except for Mike Tyson yawning on camera, which wasn't his fault. It was the production team's fault. And you can't predict that kind of stuff. Yawns are it was a starting yawn, not a yawn in duration, if you will, or in the middle of a yawn. Be that as it may, Wednesday we would see Tyson again. He would come out, and there's the pull apart. It's not Tyson and Austin, Tyson and Austin, Tyson and Austin. But for me, if you lived through that, it was Tyson and Austin, but not as good. What did you guys think? Jason, your thoughts first.
Yeah, I kind of have two different mindsets on this. I thought it was a smart thing for them to do because it gets Mike Tyson involved in the company. It seems to me they're setting up a match, or at least they have the hope that maybe they can get some kind of match going at some point between Tyson and Jericho, which if they can do that, I mean, it would be quite a coup to get, even after all these years, to get Tyson. Even back in '98, Tyson didn't wrestle. So if they can get him in a match, I think it's good publicity for them. Obviously, it was a total knockoff of what they did in '98. It came off as a knockoff. It almost came off as a parody of what Tyson and Austin did back in '98. The one thing I didn't like, and this really had nothing to do with what we saw on TV, but earlier this morning, because Tyson came out, he had an entourage with him and some MMA fighters. And
a bunch of who is that?
Yeah. So, but one of the MMA fighters that was with him posted video this morning when they went to the back, and it's just all of them having a nice laugh and kind of palling around. And to me, that's one of the things that I think is really missing. If you want to compare this to Tyson Austin, that had an intensity about it. Austin came out, you kind of bought into it, and this just almost just comes off as them sort of play acting. So that took me out of it a little bit, but it's smart for Tony Khan to try to get Tyson for a match. We'll see if it manifests in a match or if it just is sort of forgotten about, but it's good publicity for the company.
Let me ask you this, Jason et al. Is it fair to compare it to Tyson and Austin because it's the same player in Mike Tyson? Is it fair to make that comparison? Because the point Hurricane Helms made to me Thursday night on the broadcast when we talked about it in-depthly was many of us, including Andrew, wasn't alive in 1998 to remember that. So it's new for a lot of fans. And if so, how differently could they have done it? Now, we're not responsible for booking it, but if we're going to criticize them, which I did, for doing the same thing, which wasn't the same thing, what different thing could they or should they have done?
Well, one thing that I loved was that they're playing off of the fact that they had an altercation like 10 years ago. That this was, when he knocked Chris Jericho out. And, Jericho tweeted out that he, didn't forget that and all that. But I also think if you didn't see Austin and Tyson, then you're not comparing it. But I also think it's fair to compare, just like you would compare anything anyone has ever done in their career to something else they've done in their career. Technically, you're comparing Tyson and Jericho to Tyson and Austin because you're comparing two things that Tyson was involved in. You're saying, did he do as well? Was this as entertaining as that other thing he did? I think that's fair enough. But I think Tyson's money.
Was it?
So I think
was it?
What? No.
Was it?
No, it wasn't as good. First of all, nothing can be as good as the first time, and nothing can be as good as that time in wrestling.
Have you seen Mortal Kombat Annihilation? That movie was better than the first.
I think they could have done a stare down to begin the whole feud between the two of them. We've got weeks, if not months, if they want to build us up to Fighter Fest or maybe to All In. I think this is a case of where AEW went a bit too fast with something very reminiscent to the whole Tyson Austin feud.
Yeah, but you're comparing Chris Jericho and Mike Tyson and all those MMA legends and the I Like Turtles kid, who I don't know who that was, but that's who he looked like.
I Like Turtles?
That kid, that I don't know if you saw Mike Tyson's entourage, but some guy with face paint that looked like the I Like Turtles kid. You're comparing you're comparing three megastars, Austin, Tyson, and McMahon. And Tyson's just coming off being suspended by boxing, fighting Evander Holyfield, and his publicity was at an all-time high. Stone Cold Steve Austin was had a rocket ship straight to the moon, and Vince McMahon was the owner of the WWE, still is. But I mean, the comparisons, it needs to stop. I do think they should have done something different, where you could have had Tyson, I don't know, not come out to the ring and do basically the same thing he did in 1998, which I was alive for and was watching. But I don't think you should have played off that whole Tyson and Austin thing. I would have went in a totally different direction. Maybe had a backstage altercation, or maybe, I don't know, something different than what they did. The pull apart was very reminiscent of 98, and they should have went somewhere else with it. But I'm happy Tyson's involved.
I've said that this is going to be potentially a transformative change for the awareness of AEW. As it was in 1998. Tyson was the turning point in the Monday Night Wars and took WWE on top and ultimately WCW out of business, or helped in anyways. I mean, they did a great job putting themselves out of business.
I look forward to everybody tuning in and looking at the clips and thinking that the company is called HBO Max. The entire show was branded.
Hey, for all we know, maybe they're going to be part of HBO Max because there's all kinds of non-HBO stuff on there.
Maybe
They could get Entourage on AEW. I'm all for it.
All right, let's finalize this. Let's finalize this subject. Pass or fail Tyson Jericho as presented on Dynamite. Not what's about to happen, not what did happen in '98, but pass or fail. Linda, we'll start with you this time.
I'll give it a pass just because you've got all the hype into Tyson and Jericho and into AEW as a whole. So Tyson wins, Jericho wins, AEW wins, the fans win.
David. Fail. Josh.
I'd say pass.
Pass. Jason.
I'll give it a weak pass.
Weak pass. You just wiggled. You Switzerland your way out of that one. You green party us. And Andrew.
If we get a Tyson Jericho match, it's a huge pass.
I said, look, you last two. I said, doesn't matter what's going to happen. Doesn't matter what did happen in '98. We're talking about what happened on Dynamite on Wednesday night.
Pass. The ratings were high. Pass.
That was after. You don't. So, okay, we just established you were a toddler in 1998. I'm surprised your parents would let you watch such violent professional wrestling.
I was 13.
But you also obviously got into a lot of trouble in school because you can't follow direction.
Yeah, I'm just giving you facts. That's all.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much. And lady, thank you very much for joining us. I do apologize, though, and I really mean this sincerely. I do apologize to Linda, Dave, and Andrew. I'm really sorry I'm kicking your asses in the draft. I'm really, really, really sorry about that. But you should have known that when you signed up, and you can polish that away, David Herro, because that's about all you're going to be doing with it. Folks, this has been the Roundtable of PWR Primetime. Before we move on to our next topic of conversation, which Dave and I will handle, there are several people on this program that want to tell you more about what they do outside of PWR, and we'll start with the man that says, with the beautiful navy royal blue tie gimmick going on this week, Josh Chernoff.
Well, thank you very much. I, first of all, can be found at So Says Chernoff on social media. I have my monthly show on Fight TV, So Says Chernoff, monthly satirical wrestling news show where we look and laugh at wrestling. But what I'm doing weekly that I'm super excited about is I am a part of the Mind of the Meanie podcast with ECW original former WWE superstar, the Blue Meanie.
BWO.
BWO. We just signed on with the MLW Radio Network. Very excited to be over there, and we are having a blast. Just jump on in or start from the beginning, whatever you want to do. We are 9 episodes in. 10th episode will be airing on Monday, and we are just having a great time over there. Meanie is the best, and so I hope you will enjoy that. Also, go to Fight.tv for On the Ropes, is a show that was supposed to be like 20 weeks long, and then the apocalypse came. So there have been 3 episodes, and we're hoping to get a few more out in the next couple weeks.
There's an obvious joke here with you talking about something being long.
Oh, yes. For that, you can go to BlueChew.com, promo code Meanie.
Who are you wearing?
Who am I wearing? I'm wearing me. I'm just wearing, it's just a star and an S right here for Chernoff, the Chernoff S, and star because, well.
Thank you, Josh Chernoff. Jason Solomon. Solomonster sounds off several times a week.
Well, yeah, I can't follow that, so I'm not even gonna try. But I have the weekly Solomonster Sounds Off podcast on all major platforms. We're over 650 episodes deep now. This is year 13 that I'm doing this. So
you've been doing this since you were 2?
I've been doing this since I was in diapers, Dameon. You got to pay attention. So you can find that on all major platforms at Solomonster on Twitter, and we also have a YouTube channel as well by the same name.
Awesome. What now? I think it's obvious, but I feel like I need to ask. Solomonster. How did you come up with that?
The honest answer, when I signed up for a Gmail email address many years ago, the name I wanted was taken, and Google recommended it to me, and it kind of hit me like a eureka moment, and thus a star was born.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yes.
Linda, you also are now a part of PWR Today. And I believe you have your own day of the week in the mornings with Man They Call Meathead. Tell us about that.
Monday mornings, you can hear myself and the Man They Call Meathead with PWR Today. This week, we discussed a review of AEW's pay-per-view, Double or Nothing, and we'll also hit you up every Monday. Any wrestling news from the weekend, talk a little SmackDown, and tune in every Monday morning to hear myself and Meathead. And every weekday, we have our whole team. Is it 7 a.m. that we get everything going, right? I know we change it up sometimes, but 7 a.m.
Sure. Monday mornings with Linda Kay. It's a good way to start the week. Lady and gentlemen, and David, thank you very much for joining us here for the Roundtable segment this week. The show's not over, folks. This is like the primetime super show here on Saturday night. We are going to take a quick time out to tell you a little bit about our partners, Fight TV and Collar and Elbow, when we come back. Dave, I understand you've got a surprise for the viewing audience. Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Saturday Night returns in just a few seconds here on Fight TV.
You people want to see it!
The wait is over.
Got to give the people what they want!
All Elite Wrestling is now available on AEW+.
What are we seeing?
This is your chance to watch AEW Dynamite, commercial-free and live every Wednesday night.
Let's do this!
Exclusively on the Fight Digital Sports television platform. AEW Plus is available in over 100 countries outside the U.S., Canada, Germany, and France. AEW Plus can be viewed on your smart TV, mobile device, Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, or at Fight.tv.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Starting this month, AEW Plus will also feature every episode of AEW Dark. Download the Fight app now and join the revolution today.
Folks, there's Jumpin' Jeff Farmer. Jeff, a while back, what a match you had with Motley.
Yep.
A hero to many, but without a villain, there can truly never be a hero.
Motley Cruz, you turned the tables on me. You turned the tables in a wrong way.
Now the tables have been turned again. The other way. Collar and Elbow has signed the most villainous of villains to be a sponsored athlete.
Mr. Buddy Lee, did you hear that?
That's right. Motley Cruz representing Collar and Elbow.
Did you hear him?
I heard it.
Get me excited, man.
Oh, we are going full force with this game plan.
Game plan or no game plan, you come my way. Defeat is waiting on you, son.
Collar and elbowbrand.com.
Full force.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to a loaded and stacked edition of the Pro Wrestling Report. The Mr. Saturday Night.
It is loaded and stacked, but hey, it's time for the main event, and the main event is 4 letters. It's DHHS.
Wait a minute. No. What are you doing?
Oh, no. Well, Collar and Elbow's done. Now we're going to talk about DHHS.
But I thought I had a promo code that I could use if I go to collarandelbowbrand.com. Or
well,
I'll just let you be. Whatever. Do your thing. I'm going away.
Well, DHHS is brought to you by Collar and Elbow. And use promo code PWR360 at collarandelbowbrand.com. Get all the cool stuff. But let's speak about the spoken word. And let's talk about AEW Dynamite, Mike Tyson and Chris Jericho. Super excited to watch that come together. Mike Tyson comes down with his buddies and pals, associates, as we would say. And then you have Chris Jericho with his inner circle. The ring is full. You feel some action. You feel some intensity. Tyson looks jacked wearing the AEW shirt. And then after that, it all goes downhill. And this is a prime example when sometimes you have to overproduce a segment, because AEW, in my opinion, they have dropped the ball with Mike Tyson, because as Chris Jericho is trying to get heat on Mike Tyson, Tyson gets stuck in his shirt trying to rip it off. It's like, bro, it's 100% cotton. Hogan did it all the time. And he's flexing in Jericho's face. The other thing that bothered me is you had all of these legit badass fighters with Tyson. I didn't know who any of them were. I'm not a UFC fan. I watch it, but casually. So I didn't know that there was champions and former champions and icons and legends in the ring with him. And I think if we would have known that at the home audience, it would have meant more. And you're expecting an Austin-ish, Mike Tyson-ish pull apart, and it wasn't even close.
Shane told you who they were on Thursday's edition of Primetime. You were scared to say any of this stuff in front of Shane because he liked.
Well, to be fair, my mic was out. Once again, I'm going to blame Linda Kay because she's always investigating the stuff I'm talking about.
And also, earlier tonight, you couldn't say anything to her while she was right here with us. Are you that cowardly?
No, I got to give everyone, you're cutting into my time. This is why I get paid the big bills. It's for
your time?
DWHS.
Paid?
So
bills?
Listen, as great as AEW has been, they had a chance to hit a home run. They didn't give ESPN or any other media sources that money shot that they needed of Tyson and Jericho. If it would have been a little more pre-produced, if Mike Tyson would have been reeled in, I think they would have hit the home run and they would have been all over everything. But they weren't. So let's hope they can go back to the drawing board, get reinvested, get Mike Tyson reeled in, let Chris Jericho be the best talent going in the world today. And with that, David Herro has spoken. Yeah, how about that? This guy speaking.
You just hate it. Never mind.
No, I didn't hate it.
No, I'm not going to put you in that position. And to me, I could surmise what you just said by saying you hated it.
It wasn't done as well as it could have been done.
As well as it was in 98. Look, we talked about this with Hurricane Helms on Thursday. I'm just going to defer everybody back to the Thursday edition of Primetime, which you can watch on demand here on Fight TV. You can also see on our YouTube channel.
Are you belittling the DWHS?
I'm not belittling it.
It's the spoken word. It's the spoken word.
Because you just spoke it doesn't mean it's true. Don't you see that little thing underneath that said, get the facts on Tyson's appearance on AEW Dynamite? You're being fact-checked like Twitter's doing now.
Okay, but who do you think they got their facts from?
Oh, sweet Jesus! They better take away. They better take away that gimmick right away. Then.
Oh, please!
You are a fountain.
I am dotting T's and crossing I's all day long right now.
Well, what you call those things are your own personal business. But you know what? What a show, David. Hell,
yeah,
we done did it.
So much.
SmackDown.
So much.
We didn't talk about SmackDown, but I do want to ask you one question. AJ Styles recently traded from Raw to SmackDown. He had a big match with Elias last night in that tournament. How do you feel about the trade? You've been talking about the balance. You've been talking about the lack of heels, if you will.
They need AJ on SmackDown. They need locker room leaders on SmackDown. Braun Strowman is the champ. And again, when you have Miz and Morrison in the main event, you need a guy like AJ there to bring balance to the force on the blue brand. It's a Star Wars reference. You'll catch it.
Did you hate the last one?
Yeah, a little. It wasn't great.
It was a great movie. It was a great picture film. Was it really the last one?
I gotta hope so, because they can't go forward with the team they put together. They killed off almost everybody.
Folks, I want to say thank you to all of you for joining us here on the Pro Wrestling Report. Primetime Saturday night. We are on Fight TV. We're also on our socials. Follow us on Twitter at PWR360, at Dameon Nelson is this guy with the glasses, and at David Herro, the guy without the glasses, on Twitter.
Because I have great vision.
And also subscribe to us and turn on those notifications on the tube of you so that you never miss our Thursday night episodes with Shane Hurricane Helms and also our Saturday night editions of Primetime. I feel good about what we did tonight, David Herro. Everybody's in. Everybody was a part of the show. This is the first show, actually, where the entire team was on air since our 15-year anniversary some years ago.
That's amazing. Yeah, that was some years ago. Don't give away how old you really are. 50.
Younger than you.
I'm 47. You're 50.
For 5 years now, you've been 47. How does that work?
Because I carry the 4.
You carry a lot. In fact, I'm done carrying you. This show's over, folks. This has been PWR Primetime Live. Thank you so much for joining us for that one. This is Dameon Nelson saying thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again Monday for a brand new PWR Today podcast.